Hi everyone, this is my Module 11 case study for EDL 856. So very first off, I want to provide you kind of with an outline that I plan on going throughout my presentation. It really helps me to lay it all out, but I kind of hope that it provides you with a roadmap of the items that I plan on discussing. So the very first thing that I want to talk about is Section 1 case and facts. So what's happening, what didn't happen, when and where did these events happen, and then who is or might be involved in the situation, and then what do the parties that are involved have to say. So what's happening is that at USD 107, a newly formed parent group is replacing / revamping the PTA, and they're questioning how the PTA has been ran in the past. This newly formed PTA is wanting to take on a different role than they've had in the past. They're more interested in school evaluation, decision-making, teacher evaluation, curriculum, and discipline information. This is different than previous years when PTA was mostly in charge of events and connecting schools and parents. So what didn't happen? Based off the information I was able to gather, it appears that myself, the principal of Rock Hills Elementary School, is unaware of the changes that are being made by our new PTA. I was unaware that the group was unhappy with their previous role that they had played in our district, and that there are conversations and meetings that they are having around the unhappiness of the PTA in the past. So when we talk about who's involved, well, I'm involved, the new PTA committee members, which are parents of students at Rock Hills. What the parties involved have to say? Well, what I have to say is that I truly am excited that the parents care so much about our school and that they want us to have engagement within our school. I'm looking forward to figuring out what we can do together to accomplish both of our goals. PTA is saying that they want to be partners in education, especially on curriculum choices, teacher evaluations, and items more like that. It sounds like their reasoning behind this is in the past they feel like the information that's been shared for parents has been more confusing than helpful. I believe that their underlying goal in the beginning was to make educational information more parent-friendly. Section 2, legal and/or ethical issues. I do not believe that anyone has been harmed yet by these actions, but I do believe that if this situation is left untreated, there will be several consequences for various people. I do not believe that a law has been broken. Unfortunately, right now there is a lot of gray area with this particular situation. And I think that one thing that would help is if there were a set guidelines that the PTA is required to follow. I do not believe that there is a breach of contract. There was a PTA organized in the years prior that has since dissolved and thus formed a new PTA. I do not believe that there's been any discriminatory actions or harassment. Again, like I said, I don't see any legal issues yet. I could argue that ethically, they are asking for more transparency from the school and to be involved. Yet when they hosted a meeting to determine all of this, they didn't see value in inviting me there to offer support and background information on how we can accomplish these goals together. I'm wondering what message that sends to students, staff, and other parents and community members. There are a few items that I believe could become truly concerning. When thinking about the level of involvement the newly formed PTA is wanting to have, I do have a few concerns that could definitely become a legal issue. When requiring teachers to be at school extra hours and an increase in our parent-teacher conference nights, our current negotiated agreement does not support this. We would have to change our negotiated agreement, get teachers to agree to that in order to meet this new PTA's needs. We are a public school funded by local funds, state budget, as well as items from the federal budget. Our compliance with state and federal laws regarding education, opportunity, and standards is directly correlated to the funds that we receive. I am also concerned with the level of involvement that they're seeking. What other laws could we be violating? Confidentiality within students' educational information is a direct violation of FERPA. In our area, our district works very hard and is using research-based practices for curriculums, teacher evaluations, and discipline. And if the PTA wants to play a greater role in this, they may not be well versed in the research-based methods that we choose to use and why. So what's my single sentence about what's happening? The newly formed PTA within USD 107 is expressing their wishes to have a greater impact and involvement with the day-to-day processes of the district. So let's talk about the facts. This is what we know about Rock Hills School District, as well as some background information on past and present parental involvement status. People involved, myself, new PTA members, teachers, community members, students, and then some previous PTA members, because they could be involved with other people going to them and asking, well, why did you run it like this? And what do you think about this? So I think that they should be prepared for questions and concerns coming to them. Place, well, tapping in the Rock Hill School District, and we are a rural area. So our program is pre-K through 12th grade. We serve 394 students. We did have an active PTA that was disassembled. We have a new PTA, but then we also have what I would call our Grizzly Pride, and they do a lot of more of the funding. They're not really involved. They just kind of help fund school events and things like that for the students. So when we talk about the information, if we continue down this path, it will have damaging effects on students, teachers, and the school community. While I was reviewing the information that was presented to me, I do believe that this conflict could be damaging to several stakeholders. Student success should be our number one priority, but if we allow a single PTA group to be equal stakeholders on the decision-making forefront, this is not going to prove to be in the best interest of the rest of our stakeholders. I think that I need to contact my superintendent for assistance and guidance on this particular issue, as it is not centralized to my specific building, but it looks to be a district-wide issue. There is always more that I can learn about a situation. However, I think I have enough information to begin making some primary decisions on this forefront. When I talk about my options, I've come up with 3 different options that I could do, and they range from one end of the spectrum to the other. My very first option is that I can do nothing. I'll sit back and hope for the best and hope that too many people aren't being negatively affected, or maybe the PTA will lose interest in what they're proposing. My option number 2 is I could tell the PTA that they're no longer welcome to be associated with USD 107 and just not allow any sort of interaction between them at all. My third option is that I could host a meeting with the PTA to discuss alternative options of how we can utilize the PTA to help all stakeholders be successful. So when we talk about the pros and cons for each one of my choices, my first option was to do nothing. So pros, I don't really have to do anything, and my life is actually pretty easy for right now. But there's a lot of cons, and I couldn't even list them all because really this is a horrible idea. To knowingly condone something that is irresponsible, it's not really the kind of principal that I am or the precedent that I want to set. I have high expectations for all people that are involved within my school district. And by doing nothing, I don't have any control. It's not what's best for stakeholders. It's not what's best for kids. It's going to make a lot more work for me later on, and I think that it puts my teachers at risk, and confidential information can be at risk. Option 2, shut down the PTA. Pros, no risk of legal issues. We can continue with our typical chain of command, and we can retain all of the control while making decisions. Cons, I'm going to have angry parents, confused students, and damaging relationships to several stakeholders. While this might be the quickest route to fixing or avoiding this issue, it does provide a couple of positives, but the consequences are definitely heavy. I know that this decision is going to anger PTA parents, and it will anger other parents who are on the side of PTA but not a part of PTA. And I think that this is definitely going to be confusing for my students, where they see that their parents or guardians are trying to be involved and we're shutting them out. I think that this decision is definitely probably not my best option. But I also have option number 3 that I could be considering, and that is to host a meeting with the PTA to let them know what we will be expecting from the school side of things and how we can work together to make sure that our school district is successful. I would have documentation of information discussed as well as the expectations, and I can hopefully hold the PTA accountable, and they can hold me accountable as well. This is a chance for us to discuss our true goals within the PTA and how both of us can work together to get what we want, which is a successful environment for staff, students, community members, and other stakeholders. There are some cons, and I am aware that this meeting could turn negative. They may not be receptive to any of the information that I'm providing. I also know that choosing this route will be time-consuming because this is not something that can be fixed over the course of a single meeting. I know that this is going to require several follow-up meetings before and throughout the school year to continue to inform all stakeholders and keep the PTA informed and accountable. So option 3, truly my best option. I think it takes the path of some resistance, but combines it with the possibility of having the greatest impact for all. And I know that as I work to develop my plan, it will need to be revised throughout the school year time and time again because no plan is perfect ever the first time through. So when I talk about the way that I'm going to implement my plan is to host the meeting, share the agenda prior, give them a list of some sample governing rules so they could choose and adopt their own, inform them of the school policy, provide them with a copy of the negotiated agreement, discuss first quarter learning objectives, have monthly meetings with myself, set some goals, and then possibly talk about the creation of a site council. So while I could host a meeting with the PTA parents, I want to provide them with some governing rules and to let them know that this is what I expect of you, this is what parents can expect of you, and this is what students can expect of you. I think they need information on those school policies and the curriculum that we choose and how we evaluate our teachers and discipline the data. Parents might be unaware of the laws that protect public schools and their students, so I want to provide them with information on that aspect as well, because I do think that explaining things to them versus assuming that they should know and I should just be mad at them is very old school. I also think that if I come at them from a place of, you want to do so much, and if we take on all of this right now, like it's not going to get done, let's pick out some of the specific areas that we can put some of your energy into to make the greatest impact. I want to let them know that our teachers can and are willing to work with parents to help them become more involved in their child's education, and that we do host a back to school night each year, but I think having teachers prepare information on what students will learn for the first quarter of school is a great way to help start building and maintaining some of those relationships. I want to invite them to monthly meetings where we talk about different topics throughout the school year. I also want to provide them with things like, well, it's not appropriate for you to do this, but instead you could do this. For example, you can't review our discipline data, but you could donate snacks, fidgets, and alternative seatings for students who do suffer with, paying attention during class. It's not appropriate for you to choose the curriculum that we use, but you could put together a math bag game to send home with every first grade student in October. And I want to share with them some goals that I have for our school for the upcoming school year and see if their goals align with mine. So when I talk about implementation, there's going to be things that have to happen on the forefront and then things that have to happen in the background. And I really need to key in my superintendent, make my board members aware. And then maybe at the June board meeting, we can choose to either recognize the PTA as being a part of our school district and somebody that we can lean on and help, because we'll have a copy of their governing rules and their expectations from them. And we can choose to either, accept them or not. And if we don't want to have anything to do with them, then we can discuss the possibility of site council. Because if the PTA is not okay with my plan and our option that we are providing to them, then I think that our best thing is to say that then you are not going to be a part of our school, and we just set up a site council where we put our focus on, the primary focus on student learning and safety, and our student council will be made up of students and administrators, teachers, classified staff, and then a select parents that it would be voted on. And then I would just like to remind parents that if you still want to be greatly involved in the decision making at school, that our position, School Board 7, as at large, is open, and you have to be filed by June 1, and we vote for you in November. Here's my references. Thank you.